Think you know speed? The 1960s didn't just create the muscle car era. They ignited a horsepower war that redefined what fast meant on American streets. These weren't just cars. They were legends, built to annihilate the quarter mile and humble anything Europe could muster. Some were so quick, the factory underrated them to keep insurance companies at bay. So, which of these tire-shredding monsters would you bet your pink slip on? Stick around, because the 60s muscle car kings are about to roll out. 1969 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. If the muscle car era had a nuclear option, it was the 1969 Camaro ZL1. Born out of Chevrolet's secretive COPO program, this was no ordinary Camaro. It was a street-legal drag strip assassin. At its heart was the legendary all-aluminum 427 cubic-inch V8, conservatively rated at 430 horsepower. But dyno tests whispered numbers well past 500. Chevy built just 69 of these mythical beasts, each costing nearly double a standard Camaro. Why? Because the ZL1 was pure business. No radio, no air conditioning, just raw power and minimal comfort. On the street, the ZL1 was an apex predator, embarrassing GTOs, Hemi Mopars, and even some Corvettes. It could rocket from 0 to 60 in just over 5 seconds and shred the quarter mile in the low 13s. Sometimes even quicker with slicks and guts, but the ZL1 was never meant for everyone. It was for the diehards, the racers, and the handful of street heroes who could handle its unfiltered fury. Today, the ZL1 is a unicorn, a car that's as valuable as it is fast, still making even the boldest muscle cars think twice at a stoplight. 1968, Dodge Charger RT 426 Hemi. No muscle car list is complete without the iconic 68 Charger RT, especially when it's packing the fearsome 426 Hemi. This wasn't just a car, it was a rolling thunderclap. The 426 Hemi V8, officially rated at 425 horsepower, but widely believed to deliver much more, turned the sleek, fastback Charger into an instant legend. Its deep, angry rumble sent a chill down rivals' spines before the light even turned green. On paper, this Mopar monster could rocket from 0 to 60 in about 5.3 seconds, with quarter-mile times around 13.5 seconds. Brutal numbers for its day. The Hemi's reputation wasn't just built on speed. It was the car's image, immortalized by Hollywood in Bullitt, and later as the definitive bad guy ride in car culture. But the Charger wasn't just a movie star. At the strip and on the street, it was a heavyweight, one that could bully just about anything off the line, with its menacing grille, Coke bottle lines, and a V8 built for dominance. The 68 Charger RT Hemi didn't just define Mopar muscle, it set the standard for street cred that still holds up decades later. 1969, Ford Mustang Boss 429. When Ford decided to take on NASCAR, they built a monster for the street, the Boss 429 Mustang. Only 859 were produced in 1969, each hand-built to squeeze in the enormous 429 cubic-inch V8, a race-bred, semi-hemispherical beast that barely fit under the hood. Officially rated at 375 horsepower, the real figures were far higher, making this Mustang an under-the-radar assassin. The Boss 429 wasn't about flashy badges or drag strip glory. It was a purpose-built missile, designed so Ford could homologate the engine for racing. The result? 0 to 60 in 5.3 seconds and a quarter-mile time of just over 13.6 seconds, all wrapped in understated good looks. Unlike the flashier Shelbys, the Boss 429 was for serious drivers who cared more about what lurked beneath the surface. Collectors today treat the Boss 429 like holy relics, but in its time, it was a street legend, one that delivered NASCAR power to the hands of anyone lucky and wealthy enough to get one. It's proof that sometimes the real muscle car killers don't need to shout. They just need to move. 1967, Chevrolet Corvette Stingray 427 L88. The 1967 Corvette L88 wasn't just fast. It was a street-legal racing car disguised as America's sports car. Only 20 L88s were built that year, each fitted with a 427 cubic inch V8 that Chevy officially rated at 430 horsepower. The real output, more like 550. Chevrolet even tried to discourage buyers by omitting the radio and air conditioning. This was a weapon, not a boulevard cruiser. With 0 to 60 times under 5 seconds and quarter miles in the high 12s, the L88 was untouchable. It dominated on the strip and at SCCA road races, embarrassing Ferraris, Porsches, and any muscle car brave enough to challenge it. The L88 ran best on racing fuel, and anyone who ignored the warning label risked a ruined engine and a bruised ego. For those in the know, the 67 L88 became the holy grail of Corvettes. Today, it stands as a testament to an era when car companies built machines not for mass appeal, but for outright victory. The L88 wasn't just a Corvette. It was a statement that America could outmuscle anyone. 1966, Shelby Cobra 427. The Shelby Cobra 427 is the stuff of legend. Arguably the wildest, most unhinged American muscle car ever sold to the public. Carroll Shelby's brainchild combined a featherweight British AC body with Ford's 427 cubic inch V8, producing 425 to 485 horsepower in a chassis that weighed less than 2,400 pounds. The result? 0 to 60 in a staggering 4.2 seconds, quarter miles in the low 12s, and a reputation for terrifying even seasoned racers. The 427 Cobra wasn't just about straight-line speed. Its razor-sharp handling made it a monster on road courses, but its short wheelbase and brute power demanded respect. More than a few overconfident drivers spun out before they ever hit third gear. In its day, the Cobra terrorized Ferraris and Aston Martins, cementing American muscle's place on the world stage. Original 427 Cobras are among the most valuable collector cars on Earth, but even modern replicas command respect. In every sense, the Shelby Cobra 427 isn't just a car. It's a living legend, a street-legal race car, and proof that raw, unfiltered power never goes out of style. 1969 Plymouth Roadrunner 426 Hemi. The Plymouth Roadrunner was muscle in its purest form. No frills, no apologies, just raw speed. And with the legendary 426 Hemi under the hood, the 69 Roadrunner became a blue-collar missile, officially rated at 425 horsepower, but easily pumping out more. The Hemi Roadrunner could hit 0 to 60 in about 5.1 seconds and conquer the quarter mile in the mid-13 seconds. What set the Roadrunner apart wasn't just performance, it was attitude. Plymouth stripped out the luxuries and sold it at a price working-class gearheads could afford. The result was a no-nonsense street fighter with cartoon decals and a beep-beep horn, but a heart that could embarrass much prissier rivals. Its combination of lightweight construction and big block power made it a legend at stoplights and drag strips from coast to coast. To this day, the Hemi Roadrunner stands for everything that made the muscle car era special. Affordable performance, unpretentious style, and enough horsepower to make your heart skip a beat. 1969, Dodge Coronet Super Bee 446 pack. The 1969 Super Bee 446 pack was Mopar's answer to anyone who thought muscle had to be expensive. Under its bumblebee striped hood lurked a 440 cubic inch V8 with 3 two-barrel carbs, hence six-pack, cranking out a thunderous 390 horsepower. On the street, that meant 0 to 60 in just over 5 seconds and quarter-mile times in the 13s. But the Super Bee was more than just a fast car. It was a statement, a budget bruiser built for the everyman. With its bold graphics, functional scoops, and bench seats, it felt more like a street racer than a showroom queen. The six-pack setup made it brutally quick off the line, and its reputation grew at the drags, where it regularly humbled bigger names. The 446-pack Super B was proof you didn't need a Hemi or a luxury badge to rule the streets. Just the right combination of power and attitude. For Mopar fans, it remains one of the most beloved muscle machines of all time. 1968. Pontiac GTO Ram Air 2. By 1968, the GTO had already claimed its place in muscle car history. But the Ram Air 2 version took things to another level, packing a high-compression 400 cubic inch V8, rated at 366 horsepower. The Ram Air 2 was a street sleeper with race car guts. It could launch from 0 to 60 in just over 6 seconds and destroy the quarter mile in the high 13s. What set the Ram Air 2 apart was Pontiac's focus on breathing and durability. It featured forged internals, free-flowing heads, and a functional hood scoop that fed cold air straight to the carburetor. Street racers quickly discovered its potential, and the GTO's reputation as the GOAT was never more deserved. The Ram Air 2 was built in small numbers, but its impact was huge. It proved the GTO wasn't just a muscle car, it was a muscle car innovator, pushing performance tech and attitude that would inspire the entire industry. For Pontiac fans, the '68 Ram Air 2 is a holy grail, a car that earned its legend one street race at a time. 1969 AMC AMX 390. AMC might have been the underdog in Detroit, but the 1969 AMX 390 was proof that giant killers come in small packages. The AMX was a two-seater sports coupe, compact, lightweight, and packing a 390 cubic inch V8, delivering 315 horsepower. That might sound tame against big block rivals, but the AMX's low curb weight meant 0 to 60 in 6.1 seconds and a quarter mile in just over 14. The AMX was all about balance, sharp handling, straight line speed, and enough attitude to surprise anyone who underestimated it. AMC marketed it as the closest thing you can get to a real sports car for under $3,500. And they weren't lying. It won races, broke records, and challenged the establishment with every pass down the strip. Collectors today celebrate the AMX as a true oddball, a car that delivered performance and personality at a bargain price. It's proof that you don't need to be the biggest name to leave the deepest mark in muscle car lore. 1969 Oldsmobile 442 W30. Don't let the luxury badge fool you. The 1969 Oldsmobile 442 W30 was a street brawler in a tuxedo. Beneath its refined lines lurked a 400 cubic inch V8, pushing 360 horsepower, thanks to special red inner fenders, ram air induction, and aggressive cam profiles. 0 to 60 came in a blistering 5.7 seconds, and the quarter mile disappeared in just over 14 seconds. What made the W30 special wasn't just speed, it was balance. The suspension, brakes, and chassis tuning made it a real performer, not just a straight-line hero. Oldsmobile engineers built the W30 for buyers who wanted both comfort and crushing acceleration, and they delivered. It was as happy on a cross-country cruise as it was on a Saturday night at the drags. The 442 W30 is now a muscle car icon, rare, respected, and still capable of surprising much newer hardware. For those who wanted a little class with their chaos, the W30 was the only choice. 1969 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am. When Pontiac unveiled the Firebird Trans Am in 1969, the world took notice. Only 697 were built that first year, each with a 400 cubic inch Ram Air V8, making 345 horsepower. With 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds and a quarter mile in the low 14 seconds, this Trans Am was built to dominate both the strip and the street. But the Trans Am was more than just muscle. It was a vision of the future. The unique white and blue paint, functional hood scoops, and aerodynamic styling gave it a distinct, aggressive presence. Pontiac engineered it for handling too, with heavy-duty suspension and brakes. Collectors now treat the original Trans Am as the rarest of birds, a limited edition high-performance package that inspired an entire generation. The '69 Trans Am is a true legend, proving that Pontiac wasn't content to just follow trends. They set them, one burnout at a time. 1966, Plymouth Belvedere Hemi. Plymouth's 1966 Belvedere Hemi was the ultimate sleeper, a boxy, unassuming sedan hiding one of the most powerful engines ever dropped into a streetcar. The 426 Hemi, with its 425 horsepower rating and actual output likely higher, turned the Belvedere into a quarter-mile terror. 0 to 60 in 5.3 seconds, quarter mile in 13.5, all with the look of a mild-mannered family car. Drag racers knew the score, and dealers sold off-road packages to keep the lawyers at bay. The Hemi's massive heads, dual carbs, and beefy internals were designed for sustained punishment. On the strip, the Belvedere routinely embarrassed more expensive, flashier cars, earning a reputation for ruthless efficiency. Today, Hemi Belvederes are rare and coveted, representing the peak of Mopar engineering in the muscle car era. For anyone who ever wanted to surprise the competition, this was the ultimate wolf in sheep's clothing. 1969 Mercury Cougar Eliminator. 428 CJ. Mercury's 1969 Cougar Eliminator. 428 Cobra Jet was proof that refinement and brute force could go hand in hand. The Eliminator package brought aggressive stripes, spoilers, and a healthy dose of attitude, but it was the 428 cubic inch Cobra Jet V8 that made the difference. Officially rated at 335 horsepower, but real output pushed 400. The Eliminator could do 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds and lay down a quarter mile in just over 14. Its sophisticated suspension and long wheelbase gave it stability at speed, making it just as happy on the highway as it was at the drags. Mercury positioned the Eliminator as a performance car for grown-ups, something different from the bare-bones street brawlers. Collectors today prize the '69 Cougar Eliminator for its rarity and style. It stands as one of the most balanced, capable muscle cars of its time, proof that muscle could be both classy and mean. 1969 Ford Torino Cobra 428 Super Cobra Jet. The 1969 Ford Torino Cobra 428 Super Cobra Jet was built for one thing: domination. The 428 SCJ engine, paired with ram air induction and heavy-duty internals, was conservatively rated at 335 horsepower, but easily cranked out more. 0 to 60 took 5.8 seconds, and the quarter mile could be dispatched in under 14. Serious numbers for a car you could drive every day. The Torino Cobra was Ford's answer to the street and the strip. Its functional scoops, beefy tires, and menacing stance made sure nobody underestimated it. The SCJ's reputation was built on real-world performance. This was the car that made muscle a way of life, not just a marketing slogan. Today, the 428 SCJ Torino is a cult classic, loved for its sleeper looks and wild acceleration. For anyone who wanted a factory hot rod, this Cobra delivered the goods without compromise. 1965 Buick Grand Sport 401. Buick's 1965 Grand Sport 401 was the original gentleman's muscle car. It didn't shout, but it could move, with a 401 cubic inch nailhead V8, making 325 horsepower and gobs of torque. 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds wasn't just quick for its day. It was a warning shot to the rest of Detroit. The Grand Sport was about more than numbers. It was about balance, refinement, and effortless power. Buick gave it upgraded suspension, a throaty dual exhaust, and subtle badges. On the street, it was a silent assassin, able to run with the big names but comfortable enough for a cross-country trip. Collectors now see the Grand Sport as an overlooked classic, a car that proved muscle could have manners. For drivers who wanted to fly under the radar while still owning the stoplight, the GS 401 was the perfect choice. There you have it. The 1960s muscle car icons that didn't just win races, they rewrote the rules. Some were rare, some were raw, but everyone could put fear into rivals at any stoplight. Which one gets your vote for the ultimate king of speed? Drop your pick in the comments, like and subscribe for more horsepower history. And remember, legends aren't born, they're built, one thunderous burnout at a time.